We have some breaking news here as coming on the air. I just saw these headlines less than an hour ago. I didn't have time to read any of the full articles yet. I just saw bits and pieces, one from Bloomberg on Twitter, another one from Huffington Post. This story appears to be spreading very quickly, as it should be. We're going back to Iraq. Now, we're already in Iraq, but we're going back and making it official in terms of sending ground troops. So for those of you who haven't been following this, ever since, and I don't know how that's possible, but ever since ISIS came into existence and started getting more and more power and started taking over different regions in Syria and then Iraq, the U.S. panicked. And then one of the things we did, among many things, of course, we're doing airstrikes there, but we also sent Green Berets to train the Iraqi army, who we were already supposed to have trained years ago, to go fight ISIS. And then they said, don't worry, it's okay. These aren't ground troops, even though they're quite literally American troops on the ground. And the argument was, yeah, but they're not firing at the ISIS people, so it's not the same. We're not continuing the war in Iraq. Well, there was a Daily Beast article that said, in fact, those troops doing the training were firing at ISIS. So we already had ground troops there, anywhere from about 500 to 1,000 of them. And another reason they gave was, we're just protecting our diplomatic areas or our embassies or whatever in Iraq. So that's why we're there. That's why there's 500 to 1,000 people there. Well, now they dropped the facade. Now they said, okay, we're going to send at least 1,500 more ground troops there, and this will be to combat ISIS. Here's my question for anybody who might be in favor of this. This is my question for the Democratic establishment and the Republican establishment. Do you really think that's going to work? What is winning? Define winning. What is, okay, guys, we hit our goal. Let's get out of here now. How does it work? Do you think that the region is going to become a Jeffersonian democracy if we just have 1,500 more American troops on the ground in there? I don't understand what the end goal is. I don't understand what the argument is. And that's the thing. They don't even bother to provide an argument anymore. They just announce these things with the understanding that, well, the American people will get it. The response from the American people will be, well, what'd you expect? Because we've all grown so used to a system where the U.S. acts in an old-school British imperialistic way, but we pretend like we're not. We're all under this illusion that it's not the same as any of the actual imperialist powers throughout history. This is not the same as the different dynasties in China. This is not the same as the Turkish dynasty or the Romans or the Greeks. This is totally different. See, the U.S., we are actually spreading the right values around the world, and we're just helping people. We're the world police, but we're the people who, of course, mean well, so it's not like we're doing what everybody else did, which is they stole natural resources and took over land. No, that's exactly what we're doing. We're stealing natural resources and we're taking over land. Sorry, I know this is an inconvenient truth for people who like to stick their head in the sand, but think about it. We're in Afghanistan right now. The original reason we were supposed to go into Afghanistan was to get al-qaeda. We got al-qaeda. Osama bin Laden's dead. According to our own CIA, less than 100 al-qaeda operatives are still in Afghanistan, but we're still there. 9,800 of us are going to be there through 2016, probably longer. So why are we there? Again, they don't even bother to provide an argument anymore. Security, the Taliban's bad, whatever, shut up. Like, okay, they're bad. There are a lot of bad people in the world. There's bad people in North Korea. There's bad people in the Congo. There's bad people in regimes we support, like in Myanmar. Does that mean we should go to those places too? See, there's no consistency because it's not actually about protecting people. It's not actually about keeping order in the world. In the case of Afghanistan, it's about minerals, it's about opium, and it's about the military-industrial complex. A lot of people get rich because these wars are going on. And I don't think it's nefarious. I think they rationalize away the fact that those are the plus sides, and that's the real reason why we're doing it. In other words, people think, oh, we are doing it because we care about people and we should be the world policeman. But then behind the scenes, of course, like I said, we're involved in minerals, we're involved in opium, and a lot of people are getting rich through the military-industrial complex. That's Afghanistan. We're staying there, and now we're going back into Iraq. We're going back into Iraq, and I dare anybody to sit there and tell me that this isn't about the fact that ISIS has gained control of oil fields. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. And I don't know how else to voice this message. I've been trying to do it in a strong way and in a clear way for a long time now. But why can't we just go back to the common sense position that's the default position in all sane countries, that the only time we should use the U.S. military is to defend the nation, is if there's an imminent attack against us and we go and then we protect ourselves. I mean, that's what it was for so long. All the civilized countries in the world act like that. And I get it if there are some extenuating circumstances where the international community needs to act together. So we go through the UN and we go through NATO and we do a joint military operation somewhere. If there's like a clear genocide going on, fine, I'm with you. That makes perfect sense. But we're so far away even from that. We're just at the point where the U.S. goes, okay, we're going to go to war and we're not going to get it approved from Congress and everybody's going to shut the fuck up and take it. And imagine if this was George W. Bush who did this. This act and, hasn't gone through Congress yet. Even the airstrikes haven't been approved by Congress yet. Only, I think it was the House that did approve it, but the Senate didn't approve it. But we did the airstrikes anyway. If it was George W. Bush acting like this, liberals and progressives would be up in arms. They'd be like, this guy, it's unbelievable. He's a dictator. He's a fascist. But when Obama does it, people aren't as critical. No, you should be as critical. I mean, we're creating more enemies around the world when we act like this. And again, I think we have some reasons why we're doing it that are not pure. We rationalize the idea that we mean well and we're the world police, but behind the scenes, again, it has to do with oil, it has to do with minerals and opium and the military-industrial complex. No, this is not okay. And I called it from the beginning. I said the second that we heard about this ISIS situation, and the U.S. decided, it's okay, we're going to send some people to train the Iraqi military, who we already trained. I called it. I said, no, this is mission creep. This is mission creep. And people will sometimes ask me, how do you know these things in advance? It's not because I have a fucking, line to Joe Biden. It's because I look at history. I look at history and I look at what we've done in the past and I look at what we continue to do, and you just connect the dots. 2 + 2 = 4. Fucking JFK did this in Vietnam. People don't know that. People look at JFK today like, oh my God, liberal hero. What a progressive, beast he was. He increased Vietnam tremendously. And as he was increasing Vietnam, you know what he said to people? No, we're not sending combat troops. We're just sending people to train our side in Vietnam, and then they're going to protect themselves. And then what happened? Of course, we sent ground troops, and we increased it, and we increased it, and we increased it, and then eventually, years later, we had to run away with our tail between our legs because there's no victory. Again, what is victory? Okay, so let's say you kill every ISIS member, everyone. What happens then? Well, in the process of killing every ISIS member, you also killed civilians in Syria and Iraq. So then what happens? Their family members become radicalized also, a whole new generation of radicalized people because you killed civilians. And then what happens? Okay, they're no longer ISIS. ISIS is gone. Al-Qaeda's gone. But now there's a new group that has power, whether it's Ansar al-Sharia or Al-Nusra Front or Boko Haram or Al-Shabaab or any of the thousands of extremist groups and terrorist groups. We're making the problem worse. I hate to say it, but I told you so. We got to slam on the brakes and put this bad boy in reverse, because the ending of this is going to be like every other ending throughout history. Every empire eventually collapses under its own weight and stupidity, and that's the road that we're going down.
Has the president ruled it out?
Well, at this point, his stated policy is that we will not have U.S. ground forces in direct combat. So, yes.
Including operators in JTAC and embedded on the ground.
That's correct. But he has told me as well to come back to him on a case-by-case basis.
So he's ruled it out, and by that he means he hasn't ruled it out. Yeah, he's made public statements, he's against it, but he also said come back on a case-by-case basis. You know what that means, right? It hasn't been ruled out. If he says, oh, yeah, just go ahead, give me your recommendations, come back to me next month. And if you say, send in ground troops, what's Obama going to do? What's he going to do? We know what he's going to do. They're definitely sending ground troops to fight the war. That's what Kennedy was doing there when he says we're just sending advisors. Same thing with Obama today. Because Obama today is like, no, they're not ground troops. They're just troops on the ground. And keep in mind, originally it was, okay, we're just going to send 400 dudes there to help out the Shiites fighting the Sunni extremists. And then it became, send another 800 in there. And nobody's looking, send another 800. And then all of a sudden today it's 1,600. And people are still fucking, covering their eyes. Like, oh, what do you mean there's no ground troops even though there's ground troops? The Daily Beast had an article like, oh, really? They're just training people? Why is it that there's reports of them shooting at the enemy? That would be ground troops. And this is mission creep. You keep going up and up and up. And what happened in Vietnam when they did this exact same thing? It never stopped. It just kept going up.